Fans of the Warriors, hold on to your hats because the latest rumor out of the NBA rumor mill isn't just your garden variety shakeup. It's a full-on betrayal in plain sight. Lauri Markkanen, yes, the very Finnish sharpshooter who's been lighting up Eurobasket like he's trying out for Team Steph's three-point party, suddenly finds himself the centerpiece in a trade proposal that feels like a dagger to the Warriors' soul. Meanwhile, a bizarre protest simmers on Twitter where fans are flooding the hashtag #YesWarriorsWatch with memes showing Bob Myers tossing Markkanen's jersey into a bonfire while ownership laughs maniacally in a cartoon boardroom. It's the kind of bitter irony that comes from a franchise historically obsessed with building through the draft, nurturing cult heroes like Klay Thompson through injuries and suspensions, and riding the highs of the We Believe era, the KD heartbreak, and that epic Game 6 Klay splash. And now, Markkanen, who's arguably the best player in the deal, is being dangled like a lure to the Detroit Pistons, who, let's be honest, have been the NBA's East Coast surprise story of the season, leaping from a dismal 14 wins to a lively 44. Tantalizingly close to upsetting the Knicks despite shattering their own star guard, Jaden Ivey, in the playoffs. This trade isn't just about one player, it's about a draft pick. Oh yes, Utah bagging Golden State's 2026 pick in a draft potentially headlined by BYU wunderkind AJ Dybantsa, the kind of gem a championship-hungry franchise might kill. For Tae plus 2 unprotected first-rounders courtesy of Detroit's rebirth. You have to ask, what kind of front office decides to pawn off a 28-year-old primetime stretch 4 who effortlessly spaces the floor on a team that so desperately needs one? Markkanen, blending seamlessly with Cade Cunningham, Ivey, Ausar Thompson, and Jalen Duren, is the missing puzzle piece Detroit's been craving. A deadly outside shooter who can also slash as a prime receiving target for dynamic young guards. The Pistons ranked 15th in threes made and 14th in accuracy last postseason. Markkanen's game would fix the glaring issue in their offense overnight. Meanwhile, the Warriors apparently hover, eyeballing his move from a safe distance as if deciding whether to swoop in or let this bone dry up and disappear in the East's ash heap. But here's the plot twist. No one's shouting from the Chase Center rafters. This isn't just a basketball decision. It's financial chess with pawns dressed in blue and gold. Rumors swirl about ownership's love affair with tax loopholes and salary cap gymnastics disguised as strategic asset management. Could this cavalier trade chatter be a smokescreen for deeper machinations, like protecting luxury tax payments or setting up a cash-rich blockbuster down the road? The history books tell us Warriors ownership loves a good masterstroke, but lately the pattern smells of a team growing restless, willing to cannibalize short-term chemistry for fuzzy promises. How do you justify trading away a guy with such a sweet shooting stroke and solid defense, especially when the Warriors' core has dipped in health and the supporting cast hasn't caught fire? It's the exact opposite of the rock-solid, dynasty-building logic that forged Golden State's 3 titles pre-2022. This feels like watching a masterpiece unravel, stitch by stitch, while the gallery holds its breath. And don't even get me started on the timing. Just as Steph Curry's workload ramps up amid whispers of his own contract crunch, do we really need another floor spacer fleeing? What message does that send to Klay, who's grinding back from injuries, or Draymond, whose veteran grit anchors this team's defense? This isn't just about losing a player. It's about a team identity in freefall, a fan base betrayed. And yes, the conspiracy theorist voices grow louder. Is this another market manipulation, a pretext to reset, or worse, a sign that the dynasty's spine is snapping under pressure from front office wrangling? The shocker no one's addressing is how Detroit turned a team previously nowhere near playoff relevance into a legit contender barely a year after losing Markkanen to them. What if the Warriors' hesitation or willingness to trade him reflects a cynical belief that they can rebuild with youth despite the ticking clock on Steph's prime? The drama intensifies because the Golden State front office's past dealings have never been spotless. We remember hotly debated moves, the KD saga that left fans in tears, the fog of game-restricting injuries, and previous draft picks who never blossomed. Are the Markkanen rumors signals of a deeper fracturing within the organization, or simply misguided attempts to chase the next fad in an NBA swooning over small ball and long-range barrages? And if this is the test, the thin blade cutting through, what once felt invincible, what comes next? Will GSW's front office gamble on bubble teams in turmoil, or swing for the fences on a trade block superstar already whispering about leaving? The fans watching from the sidelines, reliving every miraculous rebound, every Game 6 Clay explosion, every heart-wrenching Game 7 grind, can't help but wonder, is the dynasty crumbling, or is this the prelude to another wild, unpredictable resurgence? Because if this is how they handled the Markkanen drama, just wait until the next bombshell drops and another warrior is dragged into the fire. After all, we've lived through miracles and heartbreaks, but this feels like another breaking point. Is this the collapse of a dynasty, or the setup for something even crazier? Drop your takes below, because this storm is far from over. If you thought the last twist was insane, hit that like button right now, because what's coming will make Dub Nation's blood boil deeper than ever before. We've peeled back layers of dysfunction, backroom scheming and betrayal, but the real puppeteer, the thorn in the side of Warriors' glory, hasn't even taken center stage yet. This isn't some simple front office slip or a star player's fatigue. It's a systemic poison straight from the top echelons of Golden State's ownership and management, a dark nexus where loyalty is currency and fans are just collateral. Damage. You've heard about the Durant exodus, the infamous 73-9 collapse, and the shattering, we believe, meltdown. But those were storms compared to the slow-burning inferno ignited by this mastermind's greedy calculus. It's the same ownership that celebrated championships while quietly cutting corners and undermining coach Steve Kerr's vision. The same group that allegedly prioritized profit margins over team chemistry, leaning on analytics darlings and contract maneuvering rather than genuine commitment to the culture they so proudly brandish in sound bites. And fans? They're left to howl, watching contracts signed not for contenders, but for cap-space gymnastics, trades engineered to benefit narratives rather than wins, and endless PR spins disguising deeper internal rifts. It's no accident that Steph Curry's smile has dimmed, or that Klay Thompson's moments of brilliance feel like rare gems, mined in a barren wasteland of organizational malaise. More damningly, there are whispers, leaked whispers, that the front office quietly undermined Kerr to the point where his coaching autonomy was shackled, pushing him to plead for more influence only to be sidelined politically, turning a once harmonious dynasty into a fractured mess of disconnected parts. And now, with Draymond's fiery leadership wearing thin under this relentless pressure cooker and Andrew Wiggins seemingly adrift, you have to ask, is this a team being dismantled? By accident or design? Because this is where the knife cuts deepest. The so-called dynasty that once represented joy, flair, and unprecedented dominance now feels like a crumbling empire weighed down by egos, profit-driven decision-making, and the suffocating arrogance of executives who mistake spreadsheets for banners. Let's not forget, the same ownership that now clutches the purse strings with iron fists once basked in parades through Market Street, smiling at the fans who chanted their names. But behind closed doors, while Steph sacrificed ankles, while Klay sacrificed knees, while Draymond sacrificed his very body for the ethos of Warriors basketball, these executives were sacrificing the soul of the franchise on the altar of luxury tax avoidance and branding gimmicks. And here's the kicker. Insiders whisper that the KD saga, the very moment that should have been remembered as an era of dominance, was already tainted by quiet power struggles in the boardroom, with ownership terrified not of losing Durant, on the floor, but of losing leverage in the sponsorship game. The betrayal cuts in every direction. When you look at the decline of role players, the revolving door of pieces who once anchored the team, what do you see? Not a lack of talent, but a refusal to commit. Instead of building continuity, they played musical chairs with contracts, treating Dub Nation like a test market instead of a community. Compare that to the Spurs, who for decades prioritized culture, loyalty and cohesion, and you realize how quickly the Warriors' strength in numbers turned into strength in profits, and yet the fans kept packing Chase Center, paying the highest ticket prices in the NBA, swallowing the corporate slogans, because loyalty runs deeper than common sense. The fans believed, and what did they get in return? Silent sabotage, calculated leaks, and an ownership group too busy polishing their PR image to notice the soul of the dynasty flickering out. Look at Kerr. This is a man who transformed the Warriors into a global phenomenon, who carried the weight of expectations forged in fire. And what's the reward? Rumors of constant battles with the front office, whispers of his rotations questioned, not for basketball reasons, but because certain contracts needed minutes justified. Think about that. Insanity. Minutes dictated by money, not merit. No wonder rotations looked fractured. No wonder chemistry faltered. No wonder fans started questioning whether this was still Kerr's team or a puppet show directed from a boardroom balcony. And the echoes from history? They are deafening. This reeks of the same dysfunction that tore apart the We Believe team, the same greed and short-sightedness that let a beloved underdog story dissolve into mediocrity. It mirrors the arrogance that swallowed the 73-9 team whole when desperation led to Durant's signing, a move that secured banners but fractured the soul of the dynasty, leaving scars still visible in the locker room today. And just like Durant's infamous departure to Brooklyn, this betrayal stings worse because it's not an external villain ripping the team apart, it's betrayal from within. Here's where it spirals darker. Whispers out of NBA insider circles suggest the ownership's true plan isn't sustaining the dynasty at all, it's preparing for the cash-out. Yes, the unthinkable. A gradual dismantling disguised as retooling, setting the stage to either sell the franchise at peak valuation or pivot the brand towards something less risky, less costly, more corporate. If that's true, then every trade, every rotation controversy, every PR leak isn't incompetence, it's calculated demolition. And if you're a Warriors fan, that's not just betrayal, that's existential. Because if ownership is ready to gut the dynasty for dollars, then what are we even rooting for? Jerseys? Sound bites? Empty parades of nostalgia? Picture Dub Nation in that moment, the chants twisting from support into protest, Steph's legacy dangling in uncertainty, Klay's twilight years wasted in the name of flexibility, and Draymond's fire dimming under constant betrayal. The dynasty, once built on joy and defiance, now teeters on becoming a corporate cautionary tale. Rival franchises, like the Clippers of all teams, have begun to look more stable, more ambitious, more united. Imagine that humiliation. The same Clippers who once cowered in the shadow of Oracle, now circling like predators, ready to claim the territory the Warriors foolishly surrendered. And here's the cliffhanger that'll keep you up at night. The chatter bubbling isn't about draft picks or bench rotations. It's about a seismic star trade looming on the horizon. Something so massive, so reckless, it could either resurrect the dynasty or blow it to ashes overnight. A beloved face, maybe even one of the untouchables, sacrificed on the altar of this cold, calculated power play. If you thought Durant leaving was brutal, imagine Steph Curry forced into whispers of betrayal. Imagine Draymond shipped out not for basketball, but for balance sheets. Imagine Klay's swan song stolen, not sung. Because if this is how they're treating their existing champions, what happens when the next superstar gets dragged into this inferno? What happens when the face of the franchise realizes loyalty is a one-way street? As a Warriors fan who lived through every heartbreak and miracle, I can't shake the feeling we're staring at another breaking point. But is this the collapse of everything we built, or the shocking rebirth of Dub Nation? Drop your rawest takes below, because this saga is just heating up, and trust me, the worst may not even be here yet.